And we are live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another wellness weekend with me, your host, Kathy Ranieses, the in-house life coach at Centro Holistico. And joining me today is one of our amazing Centro doctors, Dr. Sasa Sulit. Good morning, Doc Sasa. How
Good
are you today?
morning. It's me again.
I love it whenever I get to talk with you because I learn so much, and I love how you just take these complex concepts and kind of bring them down into into bite-sized pieces for us to better comprehend. And the reason why we're doing this episode is because we had such an interesting episode with Doc Fran talking about acupuncture and how it relates to our emotions. Um, and we were saying just how parang it needed a part two. so so we have you here today, kind of in continuing the talk on acupuncture, and then maybe talk about a little bit something else about mental health naman and how acupuncture is connected to that. So, Doc Sasa, do you mind kind of just explaining exactly how acupuncture can actually help with people who are feeling sad or are going through bouts of depression and anxiety, mga ganon.
Okay, so let's start with what Dr. Fran has established last week. So
Mm-hmm.
that emotions have a counterpart element in the acupuncture concept. So there's 5 elements that encompasses the whole DCM cycle. And that cycle or that organs have its own specific emotional counterpart. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of mental health, there are a lot of avenues where we can look into. So the most common cause of mental health problem is brought about by stress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So stress is the first organ that's being attacked by stress is the liver organ, and its counterpart or its partner organ is the gallbladder. So the liver and the gallbladder, they are the first organs that being attacked by stress. And of course, when we're stressed, the emotion attached to it is anger. All right. Siyempre, diba, when we're stressed, we tend to get angry at that situation or that person.
Yeah.
And then after that, if that has not been resolved, it will go into another organ, which
Okay.
is the fire. And the fire is connected naman to the organs of the heart and small intestine. So in all organs or in all pathways, there's a positive and a negative emotion. So of course, when we are dealing with mental health, we tend to go into the negative emotions first, and then we can deal with the positive emotion later on how to deal with it. So going back, fire element would manifest as hatred. So after you get angry, you will develop some hate on
Yeah.
and in extreme, diba? Parang extreme anger leads to hate. And then
Yes.
after that, of course, since it's a heart and small intestine, its manifestations are palpitations, blood pressure, chest pains. So that's when the physical manifestation starts to occur, when it goes deeper, right? Because if it's just stress alone, usually wala yung manifestation. Well, there is high cholesterol because cholesterols are formed in the liver, something like that. Indigestion of lipids, so cholesterol, because bile, that's where liver and the gallbladder, so yun sila. And then after that, when the cycle has not yet been resolved, it will go deeper again into your earth element, which is the spleen, stomach, and pancreas. So those are your digestive issues. And then after that, so the counterpart emotion will be worrying or mistrust.
Yeah.
Right? So after hatred, you will have mistrust and extreme worry.
Yeah.
And then
You get trust issues.
yes. Kung hindi pa resolved on that area, it will go deep again, seep into the lung and large intestine area, which is the metal element. So there you will manifest na shortness of breath, constipation, alongside with indigestion, kasi 'di ba stomach and spleen, alongside with hypertension and blood pressure and palpitation. So parang tatlo na 'yon. And then pag hindi pa rin siya na-resolve, it will go deep into the last element before you go back to the first cycle, which is the kidney and urinary bladder, and that's the water element. That's when you have sexual problems already, you have loss of parang will, and then there's extreme fear, wherein you can develop hallucinations already. Usually,
when the water element is involved already, like pag nandun ka na sa stage na yun. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So usually people diagnosed talaga yung diagnostic when the doctor labeled you as anxiety or general anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, before you get labeled into that spectrum of mental health, having a mental health problem, usually nandun ka na sa fear. Extreme na siya na problem. So parang nandun na siya agad sa pinakailalim, right? So sometimes hindi naman stress. I see some patients wherein, Doctor, I'm not really stressed. I'm happy with my life. And then now you look into the diet. Maybe you're not stressed, so you do not have any palpitation. But remember, kumbaga parang nag-shift ka na. Nag-fast forward ka na into the spleen, stomach, and earth element, right? So you have the counterpart taste naman of stomach, spleen, and pancreas are sweets. So if you're really, really addicted to sweets, so impaired na ngayon yung earth element mo, mas mabilis ka ngayon na to progress into overt anxiety or depression or something like that. So parang nag-fast track ka with diet alone, not with stress. Kasi with stress, parang all 5 elements at ano. But with diet, really, parang nag-fast forward ka na. So there are a lot of studies connecting diet and mental health problem. It has well been established, and it's always part of the management, but not part of the management, but not really emphasized, I should say.
Yeah. And that's also interesting because like usually also like if somebody is highly stressed, the first type of food that they would kind of like automatically go for is sweets. Like the comfort, and we tell ourselves, oh no, like we need the sugar for the energy boost because we're so stressed, etc. But you connecting it to traditional Chinese medicine, it makes so much more sense.
Yes, because in traditional Chinese medicine, we have this connection of son, mother, and grandmother. So each parang 'di ba connected sila. So the first element, for example, is liver. So the liver, it's mother, or it's the grandmother. Tapos the mother is the for example, fire element, which is the heart, and then the son would be the spleen, right? So in order for you to balance out the bitterness, the taste of anger or liver problem or gallbladder problem is bitter. Di ba yung apdo, bitter siya. So that's the counterpart taste of, kasi sa traditional Chinese medicine meron siyang parang box wherein each element has its counterpart: taste, smell, organs, tissues, parang ganon. So the bitter, in order for you to pacify the taste of the bitterness, of course, di ba, lalagyan mo ng sweet.
Yeah.
So kaya ganon yung ano niya.
What?
Yeah, kasi parang grandmother to son relationship. Eto, grandmother to son relationship. Or sometimes naman, for you, if you have extreme anger, what do? Di ba you sigh? Ganon.
Yeah.
So when you sigh, because the son now becomes the liver, the mother is the kidney, the grandmother is the lung. So for you to balance out the anger, you tend to, di ba sabi nila, hinga ng malalim para kumalma. Hindi so parang yung mga impulses natin really comes from something.
Yeah,
Right?
yung mga paniniwala.
Deeply, when you breathe deeply, it will calm you.
Yeah, it sounds like very practical advice, and it's something that we grew up with. But it's nice to know that those beliefs are probably rooted in traditional Chinese medicine.
Yes.
That's so interesting. So what I'm hearing from you is in terms of in terms of that mental health spiral, you guys as our central doctors can already kind of feel out if we are in a certain if we're kind of breaking down that in terms of our mental health basically, and kind of like where we are in that downward spiral based on your on the holistic medical consultation.
Yes. So basically, it's just the same as the consultation for conventional medicine. We just dig into the detailed informations that conventional doctors don't usually ask, because everything is connected. So we have to know where you are. Of course, symptom information, how you're dealing with, so when did it started, because we have to, usually when you go to the doctors, you will always experience the questions, kailan to nagsimula? So yung it's really frustrating for us doctors, for if you answer nito lang po, malay ko, ano po yung nito? Days, months, years? Kasi pwede yung nito mo months na pala, or you've been dealing with this for years. So that the attack will be different if it's a chronic condition versus it's just 3 days ago. Like for example, you have insomnia.
Yeah.
You have been dealing with that insomnia for 3 years versus a patient coming in with insomnia which only started for about a week. So it's really different in terms of management and the protocols that we'll be giving. But of course, you have to know, where did you start? Does it come from stress? Does it come from your diet? Is it coming from lack of exercise? Is it coming from toxicity that you're exposed to recently? You've been exposed to parang lead, mercury, and all that. So we have to know where you are. So you have to also tell us and be honest with your doctors. Please do not withhold any information if you want us to treat you. Otherwise, we have a way to know it.
Yeah, there is no need to start to look
oh my gosh, she found out. Even if you don't tell us on first consult, if you come back because you felt relief, eventually we will know. So better yet, be honest with us. There is what we call confidentiality between patients and doctors. We don't usually divulge information. Yes, we may talk about it, but we do not say who the specific patient is. Like for example, it's always a general, I have a patient like this. So kung ikaw yung patient na sinasabi ko, hindi ko naman sinabi yung pangalan mo, dami-dami nyo eh. So, di ba? Parang ganon. So, there's still confidentiality that we maintain in our consultations.
Yeah, and parang you kind of think, no, like if you are going to a doctor for a consult because you're not feeling well, you would probably want to be very honest with what you're going through, right? So they can give you a proper diagnosis and help
That's
you instead of trying to look good because you're afraid that they might give you a really bad diagnosis.
yeah. Sometimes, kasi parang sa kanila, ignorance is bliss. So, di
Yeah.
ba?
Living in denial. Pero pumunta ka ng doktor. So,
Yeah.
like your doctor isn't going to support you with your denial.
That's
So,
right.
so Doc Sasa, so after you go through the consult, let's say, and then you realize that okay, this person is super stressed, or whatever is happening to her, parang it's already affecting like her liver and her gallbladder already. So at Centro, what can we do in order to help them at least alleviate or help them manage that better?
Okay, so we have a lot of treatment protocols in place. So, of course, we need to know where the imbalance is, right? So again, if it's in your diet, we will really go and dig into elimination. We will really incorporate a specific diet wherein you would eliminate sugary foods, highly processed foods, because as we know, those are the main culprits that would disrupt your neurotransmitters. There has been a lot of studies that showed a link between dysbiosis, means imbalance of the good and the bad bacteria in your gut, and its effect on your mental health. So if the problem is the gut, of course, we need to fix the gut through diet, through some certain supplements that would repair. We will reincorporate probiotics if needed. And then maybe we can do colon cleansing, right? So if because like if the toxins are building up and you cannot eliminate those toxins that you have been eating, of course, when you eat highly processed foods and sugary foods, more often than not, your bowel movement is not regular.
Yeah, you're super constipated. Yeah.
Yes. So hence, the large intestine is not functioning well, right? That's the next path after the earth. It's the metal element. So if it's not functioning well, and then your diet is bad, what can you do to resolve that and to increase the function of that specific organ? So maybe you can exercise, because the counterpart of large intestine is lung. You can do deep breathing. So, and then when the metal element is strong enough, maybe it can help nourish again the other element, for example. So colon cleansing may be of benefit if you are constipated, or if you're dealing with significant problems with your diet. And then you can also benefit if it's really hard for you to put an effort. Yung motivation is really hard, di ba? When your mind is out of whack or not in sync with what you, or where you, it's not where you want it to be, look into your body. Maybe you can do something in your body that would target your mental state.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're dealing with extreme cravings, if you're dealing, kasi sugar is a part of addiction. So what we can help you with is trim down the addiction through doing ear acupuncture detox. Because that specific protocol was developed way back in 1970s. It was initially used for withdrawal symptoms during the opioid epidemic in the 1970s way back in the United States. It started
Uh-uh.
in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael Smith and his staff collaborated and made this 5-point protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So these technically, the 5 points are Shenmen, sympathetic, kidney, liver, and lungs. As we
Okay.
know, kidney, liver, and lungs, those are part of your detox.
Mm-hmm.
You everything that you put in, may it be good or bad, it has some waste materials. That's why you wee wee, you
Mm-hmm.
poo poo, wee wee, kidney, poo poo, liver, and then you
Mm-hmm.
breathe, lungs. So those three protocols would enhance your detoxification process. And
Yeah.
then the other two, the sympathetic and the Shanman is supposed to regulate the uh, interaction and inhibition excitation processes in your cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is where your cognitive behavior is
Yeah.
located. So it
So it calms
produces
down the craving.
sensation.
Oh,
Yes. So when it's calm, wala masyadong firing of actions, you tend to think clearly. That's
yeah.
that's that's the goal. And then the
Yeah.
sympathetic, it regulates the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So your relaxation state and agitation state for it to be balanced. And then it also promotes an analgesic or calming effect. So if your mind is clear,
Mm-hmm.
then you tend to make better decisions.
Yeah. That makes so
So,
much sense.
so
That
if
makes
you're
so much
dealing with cravings,
sense.
the ear acupuncture detox can really help you clear your mind na, oh, okay, so this type of food I will have to eliminate. So mas better siya kasi kalmado yung utak mo. Kesa yung
Yeah.
parang when you have cravings, you tend to get crazy, diba? If
And
you
you're
don't.
more emotional. Yes, you're more emotions driven when you have a craving. So, Doc, for Acu Detox, for anybody who is, who wants to quit sugar and is struggling, or wants to quit anything really, diba? It's good then for people who want to quit smoking, who
Yes.
have other vices that they have a hard time letting go of. How often should they be getting the Acu Detox?
It depends on how bad the symptom is. So it's
Ah.
still personalized. There's no one size fits all
Mhm.
protocol. So we need to know how long you've been dealing with that, how
Mhm.
grave the symptoms, or maybe it's your time. So
Mhm.
we will also have to adjust, but minimum is once a week. If you would usually 3 times a week yung more frequent.
Mhm.
Three times
Got
a
it.
week or once a week.
Okay, sige. That's interesting. I love like you when you were kind of going through how depression, etc., how sugar is such a big trigger and how parang you never really think that they would all connect.
Yeah.
Like from
Yeah.
a conventional medicine point of view, they all look like different issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just to make cuento about it, no. So like when I discovered you guys and I came in for a consult, I think that was like what 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Um, I remember like I was talking to Doc Candy, and in my head, so I was like, I was in and out of like depressive states. I was super stressed. I was really bloated. And in my head, I was kind of like, this is me now. Like, wala akong magagawa. Ito na talaga yung buhay ko. Like my stress triggered my thyroid issue, etc. So I just came in because I wanted to kind of know how can I manage na lang the the symptoms that are popping up, right? I was like telling Doc Candy, oh, I have such a hard time like losing weight. I'm bloated all the time. I think it's because of my thyroid, etc. And you went through the consult and like, yes, like I'm really stressed. Pero I couldn't see how it was connected to like, oh yeah, whenever I'm stressed, I reach for sugar. Because in my head, it's like, yeah, I always have like a chocolate bar because I need the sugar rush. Because
Mhm.
because when I'm not in a sugar rush, I'm fatigued. So
Yeah.
it helps. And and when I would talk to my conventional doctor, he was like, yeah, that's okay naman, pero like better that you take like these vitamins, etc., etc. They never connected everything. And the way that you kind of explained it, of how like the having too much sugar in the body can actually keep the depression there longer, just makes sense. And then after I went through like the elimination diet, did the colon cleansing, etc., parang the brain fog kind of lifted. And that for me was like my big aha moment. I was like, I don't know if it's the colon cleanse, I don't know if it was the acupuncture, I don't know if it was the ano, pero it really helped. So you kind of explaining the process, for at least for me, for someone who went through it, it makes so much sense that,
Mhm.
oh, so that's what happened. So I was basically just so addicted to sugar, and because of a stressful lifestyle, nagpatong-patong na siya, and it was causing all this inflammation in my body, that was also triggering like depressive episodes or anxiety, etc. So it's interesting how at the end of the day we still go back to the gut when it
Yeah.
comes to our mental wellness. Na we have great tools like acupuncture for TCM, and the colon cleansing, etc., etc. But it's so interesting how we all should be really mindful talaga of what it is that we eat and what goes into our bodies, because once it hits the gut and the gut becomes imbalanced, parang everything is out of whack na.
That's right. That's right. So that's where the holistic medical consult
Mm,
comes in, wherein we ask specifically, what do you eat for breakfast? What do
mhm,
you eat for lunch or dinner? Do you have
mhm,
any snacks? How many cups of uh, cola,
mhm,
caffeine, tea, coffee do you drink in a day?
mhm,
How many glasses of water do you drink in a day? How many servings of fruits and vegetables do you eat in a day? When I ask that, ooh, doc, parang 0 to 1. Oh my God. So, oh my
yeah.
God, 0 to 1. So parang sabi ko, walang kulay yung ano doc, brown and white, kulay ba yun? Kulay ba yun, te? But anyway, so parang may iba naman philosopher, Dok, meron naman yung mga Fruit Loops, di ba? So parang, so, um, when you, that's where the realization of
Mhm,
patients come in. Because if you really educate your patients on how to deal with their problems,
mm,
it gives them this empowering feeling that, hey, I am in control. So
yeah.
I should not just take the medicine blindly given to me. I'm taking this because I know what it does to my body. Or I
Exactly.
will take this specific food because I know this will help me. Or I will
Mm,
restrict sugar because the consequence is not worth it.
yeah.
Right? So if you really are into sugar and you really want if it and it's really worth it that you would go to the hospital every single week, or if not, you tend to have this anxious feeling or depressive symptoms that you really cannot control. If
Mm,
it's worth it, then go ahead, eat
yeah.
all those packaged foods, eat all those sugary food. In Centro, we don't really make pagalit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like in the conventional medicine, kasi ikaw, kasi ikaw, kasi ikaw. Parang
Mm,
ganon.
yeah.
So, during the consult, we let them realize the consequence of what you are doing. So,
Yeah.
it's not my decision or it's not in my control that you have that symptom.
Yeah.
If you feel that your symptom is out of control, you have control. You
Yeah.
just have to accept the sacrifices that
Yeah.
you will need to do in order for you to get that goal.
Yeah.
It's not simple. It's not easy. It's really a hard road. This is the road less traveled, right?
Totoo. Yeah.
So when you want to be in good health, lagi sasabihin, oh, healthy, healthy. Ganon, right? So parang hindi ka in healthy, healthy. Ang hirap pa kainin healthy, healthy. But
Oo.
if you are in this track, I mean, I don't care. I just feel good. I haven't had any symptoms at all. If ever I do, I know when will it come because I
Yeah.
knew I cheated. I
Yeah.
knew when I put in bad stuff in my body, I know how to counteract it because, like for me, for example, when we have party, of course I
Mhm.
eat, di ba?
Yeah.
So I indulge, but of course limited amount. And then
Yeah.
after that, I will go for golden cleansing for 2 days. I will have IV chips. I will do acupuncture and all that. I will have laser
Exactly.
therapy. So there are ways wherein I can control the symptoms so that because I know why.
Mm.
If you know the why, you will know the how. It doesn't actually need the what.
Yeah.
Eh, ano naman ngayon kung magkaroon ka ng specific diagnosis? Kung hindi
Mm-mm.
mo naman alam kung bakit ka nagkaroon ng diagnosis na ganyan.
Exactly. And I think that that's where a lot of the disconnect is, no? Na parang, at least for me, before I came to Centro, parang when I got diagnosed, parang, okay, so this is my life na. Parang, ano yun, parang I just have to accept, you know? But then like with working with you guys, it was nice because you guys really take the time to explain how I got to that point.
Yeah,
And so like when I go home, I can kind of like reflect and go, yeah, oo nga, yeah, the price that I paid was not worth the benefit that I was getting from eating all the sugar, etc. Like little stuff like that. And I think it's because then of those like little aha moments that you start to change. And what I love about you guys and as central doctors is you guys meet the patients where they're at. 'Di ba?
yes.
So parang kung yung kaya lang ni patient ngayon is bawasan yung coke intake nila per week. Parang sige, let's start there.
Yeah,
There's no radical, oh, you're not allowed na any sugar whatsoever, you clean your pantry, etc. It's very okay, where are you comfortable starting? And then
yes.
let's start there. And then pag
Yes,
ready ka na ulit, and then maybe we can do elimination diet naman. Pag
that's
feeling mo
right.
you're ready to do that na. So it
That's
really
right.
is a partnership na
Yes.
it's really the doctor is not in charge of your health. The doctor is
Yes.
only there to journey with you. You are
And
still
diet, yes.
responsible for your health.
Yes. So we do not really impose
Mhm.
on things for the patient. Like for example, when you go for consult, oh, take
Mhm.
this medicine, blah, 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 blah. So parang ikaw, oh, and then you get the reseta. Okay, so this is what I have to take. So
Yeah.
you cannot actually haggle with your doctor na, Doc, pwede bang ito hindi na? Ito hindi na? Ito hindi na? So parang ikaw, ang mahal nito eh. Tapos parang pag binigay sa'yo yung reseta mo, not all doctors, but most of the conventional doctors, they just put there, this is for your blood pressure, this is for blah, blah, blah. But
Oo.
sometimes, yes, it's for your blood pressure, but you did not explain why do they need it. This is
Yeah.
for your blood pressure kasi ganito siya. This one is for your ganun kasi ganito siya. So the plan retains with the doctor, and the patient who's taking the medicine don't really know what
Yeah.
the concrete plan will be, right?
Yeah.
But in Centro, we will say, if you have hypertensive and I have hypertension or diabetes, of course you need medicines. But
Yes.
if maybe you can do your diet, and then we can add this so that later on we can remove this. Same as with
Mm.
mental health, right? So we deal with neurotransmitters. I usually explain it in such a way na naiintindihan. For example, you have anxiety. Anxiety is usually because of an imbalance in your dopaminergic pathway. So let's go a little bit technical. So dopamine is your feel good. I'm sorry, it's your reward, motivation, pursuit neurotransmitter for the brain. And then
Yes.
after that, norepinephrine is your fight or flight. It goes together with your adrenaline, which is responsible for your agitation and endurance. So
Mm-hmm.
those three um, neurotransmitters actually came from one amino acid alone. It
Oh,
comes from phenylalanine, goes
okay.
to tyrosine, and then L-DOPA, and then dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you do not have phenylalanine in your diet, which is an essential amino acid, by the way, when we say essential amino acid, you do not uh, have the your body does not have the capacity to produce or make that. Hence, you need to supply that in your diet.
Uh,
Otherwise, it cannot make that specific amino acid on its own.
mm,
There's like 10 or 9 essential amino acid. You can look it up from Dr. Google, and
yeah.
so sometimes also, if for example, okay yung phenylalanine component mo, however, we also need certain vitamins and minerals for that
Mm-hmm.
pathway to go. So sometimes the imbalance of zinc and copper, for example,
Mm-hmm.
will result in uh, the deficiency of the production of dopamine or epinephrine and epinephrine.
Okay.
So, pwedeng kulang ka sa zinc, which is really deficient in our diet right now. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
kung highly processed foods yung kinakain mo, wala talagang zinc yan. Sabi nila fortified, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
Copper also. So, you can get that from fruits and vegetables. So,
Mm.
the imbalance of the production of those neurotransmitters in your brain can make or break your mental health. If you
Yeah.
do not understand the biochemistry of how your brain works, you
Mm.
will just tend to neglect na bakit ba gusto niyo akong tanggalan ng sugar? Bakit ba gusto niyo tanggalan ako ng packaged food? Ang sarap-sarap kaya ng mga chips. Ang sarap-sarap kaya ng mga milk teas. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, is it worth it that you really have some manic episodes, or you tend to get depressed when there is, for example, magnesium deficiency
Yeah.
or fatty acid deficiency, right?
Mm.
So it's all about putting in the right nutrients so that your body will optimize itself to function properly.
Yeah. That is so interesting. So really at the end of the day, it really is the type of food that we end up eating and ingesting and the quality of the food that we end up eating and ingesting.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that's where the challenge lies, because I think especially like nowadays where we're all stuck indoors, we all rely on takeout. We don't go out as much anymore. But it's more of an excuse to order takeout instead of maybe going to the grocery store or the market and buying more fruit and vegetables. Um, and yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, because even in my coaching practice, I have a lot of clients now who are complaining of having depressive episodes, who are claiming that they struggle with anxiety, and all they can see really is, yeah, I'm at home all the time, so I feel depressed, I feel anxiety, and their comfort food, the food that they go to the most, is usually either the sugary foods or the salty, the processed, like chips, etc. And then they eat also a lot of, like, they feel that they end up eating a lot more rice than they usually would, which is also very sugary. So that makes total sense, that because of the quality of food that we're ingesting in our body, we aren't feeding our brain right.
Yes. If I may also mention, going back to TCM, right?
Mm.
Sweets is the taste that that is being governed by the earth element, which is the stomach and spleen. So
Mhm.
that's your digestion. And if it's salty, the kidney. and urinary bladder, which is the water. And what emotion? Again, the water element brings about fear. So
That
hallucinations. Hence, pag salty yung kinakain mo, sobrang fearful ka na hindi, yung parang wala ka nang magawa. Parang ganon. Meron ka ng this thinking of negative thoughts na paano kung ganito, paano kung ganyan, nakakatakot. So ganon, no? So tapos ang counterpart niya is anxiety, worry, and mistrust, which is the sweets. So pinagkumpahin mo sila. Ang saya-saya, di ba? So nagtataka ka ngayon kung bakit ganyan yung utak mo. Hello, te.
That makes so much sense. Pero alam mo, totoo yun. Like whenever you feel depressed or when you're going through a big negative like emotion or ano in your life, yung dalawang yun talaga, those are the two parang tastes that you really look for, no? You look for the sweet, and then after mo kumain ng matamis, you're like, sige, maalat naman para medyo matanggal yung umay ng pagkatamis, and then that's the vicious cycle.
Yes. That's why you cannot get out of that cycle, because you're actually putting a lot of coal. That's the mediator. So habang niluluto mo siya, edi pasarap lang din ng pasarap yung anxiety tsaka depression mo. Parang gano'n.
Oo nga, tama. That makes sense.
That's where TCM comes in now. So if you really cannot handle it, there are ways. We can help you clear your mind. So there's acupuncture, there's ear acupuncture detox. We can cleanse you. We can actually detoxify you through heavy metal detox. We can actually let your lymphatic drainage brushing so that mas maganda yung move, 'di ba, ng lymph nodes, lymphatics mo through your lymph nodes. So there are ways that we can help you, but we can only do so much. Hindi kami pwedeng tusok lang ng tusok tas kain ka lang din ng kain.
Sayang lang ang pera mo if that's the plan, if that's the game plan. No, but I think then, Doc, the great thing, at least for me, for patients who come into Centro and are really dedicated to committing to their wellness journey, is that the process really changes you. Just the simple having the awareness of what your body is going through and why it's going through it is just a game changer in itself, because you have a medical professional really sitting down and explaining to you that all of these factors are why why this is happening to you today. And let's look at the factors that you can't control, and let's look at the factors that you can control, and let's focus on that.
Yes.
And then let's support with all these other services that you can do to help with detox, to help with energy, to help just with replenishing, etc. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the patient to make the decision of, okay, I'm committing to, being a better version of myself today because I deserve it.
Yes, that's right. Cliche as it may sound, knowledge is power, right? So if you know the things that's going on inside of you, and you have this mindfulness mindfulness, so that you will be more motivated into changing for the better. It's really powerful. I'm always telling this to my patients, that getting hold of the rein for your health is empowering and scary at the same time, because anything that you do will impact in one way or another your well-being, partly or totally. So may mga pasyente rin naman na parang scary yun for them, because if I made a mistake, parang, oh my God, I stumbled and fall. But this is a journey. Again, all doctors in Centro always say, this is not your destination. Health, this is a journey. So you will encounter humps and bumps along the way. Of course, you will stumble and fall. We
Mhm.
also we also are guilty with
Yeah.
eating bad stuff. You can
Mhm.
still see us. Don't judge us, huh? But you can still see us parang eating these processed foods or
Yeah.
high glycemic index foods. But the difference is we know until when.
Yeah.
And because we have changed, there is also a drastic change in your palate. Diba? When you undergo elimination diet, the things that you used to eat doesn't seem so delicious
Enticing.
anymore.
Yeah.
They kind of, basta, parang it's so
Oo.
overwhelming. The taste is so overwhelming. Um, so when we eat outside or when someone served us some food and then there's MSG there, we know na, may MSG to. So parang first bite, okay, konti lang yung kakainin ko kasi may MSG to. Something like that. Or,
Yeah.
hala, sobrang tamis. Tapos parang sa kanila, matamis. Hindi pa kaya, sakto lang. Tapos parang yung timpla namin, na sakto lang. Ay, ang bland.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I remember when I did my when I went through a cleanse, so I quit sugar. I did like a 3-day cleanse. So in between the migraines, because my body was really looking for it. My first day, the drinks that I had that came with the cleanse, it tasted super acidic. Like for me, I was like, ano tong pinapainom sa akin? Like it's so acidic. How is this supposed to help me? And then by the end of day 3, matamis na siya. Like my palate completely changed after eliminating sugar. And that kind of scared me because it was like, imagine in mo, like how many years like this was the palate that I was kind of working with. Which is why I kept grabbing for sugar. Everything wasn't sweet enough, and then
Yes.
after that, everything just changed. Oh, we have a question from Jericho here. He says, "Hi, Doc Sasa. Do you mind if I ask ano yung unang step or best way to treat hypertension with TCM?" So hypertension is heart, tama ba?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We do not treat patients uh, in general na isa lang. So it's
Yeah.
really hard for me to say because what caused the hypertension? Was it because of hypertension is equal to heart rate times peripheral vascular resistance, right?
Mm.
So where the problem is it in the heart? Is it highly functioning? Is it because it's beating so fast? Is it
Mm.
the integrity of the blood vessels, which is still in the fire element? The tissues governed by fire element is the blood vessels. So is there a problem with the blood vessel? Is it constricting? Is it blocked by cholesterol? So parang if it's blocked by cholesterol, you have to go back to the wood element, which is the liver
Mm.
and gallbladder, which produce the high cholesterol. So is it because of the diet, which is the earth element, the next element after the fire, na kaya nagbe-breakdown si fire kasi sobrang kailangan ni earth to to
Ah,
to to
ganun pala yun.
yes, kasi parang the mother nourishes the sun. So if depleted si earth element, kailangan mag-hire si fire to compensate. So is it a compensatory mechanism because of your diet
Mm.
or because of your indigestion? Kaya nga may tinatawag na heartburn. Is it really coming from the heart or coming from the stomach that goes up? So
Yeah.
so there's no really clear
There's no
cut way to
yeah.
to to say na this, unlike in conventional medicine, if you're hypertensive, take this. Ganon
Yes.
siya eh. In
Yeah.
TCM, it really, and in functional medicine, it's every patient is different. And
Mm-mm.
sometimes I stumble on a patient wherein I really don't know what to do.
Mm.
So I have to research. So
Mm-mm.
I'm very honest with my patients that you can ask me anything, you can throw questions at me. If
Yeah.
I know the answer, I will explain. But
Mm.
if I do not know, I will get back to you. I will have to research on that because your case is not as common as it should be. Or maybe it's really complicated that I cannot really pin down what the problem is already. Kasi parang kung lahat sila problematic na, saan siya nagsimula? I need to know. Maybe we have, that's why in functional, this is a different consult naman, a functional medicine consult. This is different from the holistic medical consult. In the functional medicine consult, we go back from your conception. That's how tedious. You
Yeah.
will need to answer an 18-page questionnaire, and you will have to send that to us before the consult. You just cannot barge in and expect us to, oh, ito na. No, because from your childhood, preconception,
In utero.
we need to know if you're term, breastfed, when did you started solid food, were you bottle fed, breastfed, when did you had your menarche if you're a girl, did you had any surgeries prior, any significant social or emotional trauma that you had when you're a child, did you had metal implants or dental fillings? Those are the things that we need to know. So just sitting alone in a 30-minute to 1 hour consult is not enough. Sometimes in functional medicine, I talk to the patient for 2 hours. So that's why, syempre, kung 2 hours tayo, medyo mas matagal na, mas malaki naman ang ano nun, di ba? Kasi yung effort na ginawa ko, hindi lang naman ako during that time. Even before our consult, inaaral ko na yung kaso mo eh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different. So that's why it's hard for us to say that this is your problem. We really need to know where you're coming from. Or if it's you need to, through this platform, maybe you also have some insight na, I think this is my problem based on what Dr. Sasa is talking about. Maybe this is my problem. And then you can do self-management, deep breath. Everything naman that we do boils down to lifestyle eh. You already know what that is.
Yeah.
Eat all foods that live in that grows on land, that swims on the sea, or that flies in the air. So lahat ng yon pwede mong kainin. But if it comes from a machine or packed foods, maybe you have to slow down, or if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, or maybe it's because of your sleep. Maybe it's because sleep kasi it's also part of having hypertension, right? Kung lagi kang puyat, pwede rin siya magkaroon ng hypertension. Kasi kung puyat ka, during the 11 to 3 a.m., 11 to 1, 1 to 3, that's where your gallbladder and liver functions. So, syempre, that's wood. That's the wood. And then after the wood, it becomes fire, right? So, if puyat ka, pwedeng magkaroon ng effect dun sa fire element. So, magkakaroon ka rin ng hypertension. So, saan ba yun nanggagaling? Right? So, maybe you're not breathing well. You're not exercising. That's also one avenue that you can look into. Vitamin D exposure. I have a lot of patients wherein I check the vitamin D, resistant hypertension, resistant diabetes, very emotional. And then when I check the vitamin D, it's really low. I did not do anything. I just corrected the vitamin D. Nag-autocorrect si BP, nag-autocorrect si cholesterol, nag-autocorrect si... Yeah, I was able to take out the insulin. So those are the things that you can look into and manage, right? So there are a lot. Or maybe there's someone in your home that really you have parang emotional or relationship-wise na hindi maayos. Maybe that's also stressing you and kaya nga diba sabi ko, stress ako sa'yo, naha-high blood ako sa'yo. Di ba? That's really true because stress, after stress, anger, di naman po, wood, fire element siya ulit, o di hypertensive ka ulit. So parang, ano siya, it's a multifactorial na kailangan mong ayusin. So,
it really one size fits all treatment is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing. It really is, you need to come in, you need to have somebody really assess and listen and see what's happening to your whole life, not just the hypertension part of your life,
that's right.
before you can come up with like a diagnosis talaga.
Yes, because we have to organize it in such a way that you can understand it,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm.
we as doctors in Centro lay it down in a systematic, organized way so
Yeah.
that you will have your aha moments in between. And then, yeah, this is it. Or
Mm.
maybe our goal is different from yours, but uh, we will need to meet halfway.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, Jericho says, I have a good idea now on what's happening with my body and how to manage hypertension. So we're glad that helped you. So sige, Doc Sasa, we're almost at the top of the hour. If you were to give any tips for people who are going through like strong emotions like depressive states or bouts of anxiety, we're not saying that, if you are, if you have been diagnosed for depression, if you have been diagnosed for anxiety, then please follow whatever your therapist recommends.
That's right.
But if you are only, going through, let's say you're going through feelings of grief or you're going through feelings of sadness, Doc Sasa, what could be some good tips to help people manage that? With the TCM background, para hindi siya lumala, so it doesn't spiral into a mental health crisis.
All right. So this recommendations goes to the whole spectrum. Even if
Mhm.
you're diagnosed with anxiety, depression, PTSD, eating
Mm.
disorder, or the manifestation, you just self-diagnose yourself because you had palpitations and you had
Uh-huh.
this shortness of breath, and you really did not fit on a certain psychiatric problem, but you really felt that it's really anxiety that's hitting you.
Mhm.
Everything these recommendations are good for you. So eat regularly to maintain a blood sugar level.
Yeah.
Eat adequate amounts of protein because amino acids, as I say, is the structural backbone of your neurotransmitters. All the neurotransmitters in your brain are protein comes from an essential amino acid. So amino acid is a protein. So
Mm.
adequate amounts of protein comes from nuts, seeds, lean meat, fish, like that.
Yeah.
So good fat. We know that our brain is filled with fat. So omega-3s and omega-6 that comes also with nuts, seeds, avocado, or olive oil, oily fishes, chicken. So focus more on those. And then adequate phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are the colors that each fruits and vegetable have. They do
Mm.
not have any nutritive value or caloric value, but the color are the ones that protects each uh, fruits or vegetables. And then by food chain, of course, it can help you also with mental health.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm.
So, hindi mo pwedeng balatan yung apple kasi matatanggal yung red niya. So, wala
Oo.
ka ng lycopene and ellagic acid. Parang
Mm.
ganon. So,
Mm,
kahit
mm.
yung skin, mas maganda, lahat kasi ng color kailangan mong kunin. Right? Adequate water, 1 liter for every 50 pounds of weight. Right? So, decrease the stuff that would induce palpitation, that's caffeine. Improve your gut health. So
Mm.
eat on foods that is rich in probiotics and prebiotics.
Yeah.
And then look if you have toxicity. Look if you have infections. Look if you have intolerance. Because
Mm.
sometimes you eat regularly, good food, adequate fat, adequate na yung exercise, okay na yung water, okay na yung gut health mo. Yun pala, you have intolerance. Food
Mm.
intolerance can also induce some of those symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Intolerance is different from allergies. So intolerance is parang naiinis ka lang sa kanya, pero okay lang.
Pero hindi ka
Allergy,
mamamatay.
parang mamamatay ka na. Ganon.
Yeah. So just to be clear, intolerance can be like bloating. It can
Yeah.
be the form of gas. It can
Yeah,
be in the form of breakouts or headaches, etc.
that's
after you eat a certain food.
that's right.
Yeah.
So
Allergy is like
the
it
symptoms
constricts your throat and
really
you
varies.
die.
Yeah, the symptom varies with if you are intolerant with certain foods.
Yeah.
So it's good to know what you're intolerant, what is your intolerance, and
Yeah.
so that's why we do elimination diet, because mostly we are intolerant to those types of food.
Yeah.
But
Well, and,
if, for example, the elimination diet is not successful, maybe we need to test that. So that's
mm,
additional ano naman.
yeah. But I think like for a lot of us, sadly, like we're really intolerant to a lot of the breakfast foods that that we like to eat, no, like gluten, eggs, dairy. So
Yeah,
everything na nakasanayan natin, na alam natin masarap,
that's
we
right.
might we may be intolerant to, sadly.
Yes.
So sige. So Doc, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for saying yes to Wellness Weekends again. It's
Thank
always
you.
a joy to get to talk to you. I always learn so much. I hope everybody who's listening has the same experience. So Doc, for people who want to find you at Centro, which branches can they go to and when?
So I'm in Alabang every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday,
Mhm.
and then Grove every Mondays by appointment.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to find Doc Sasa, if you want to talk about the other TCM concept and how that can apply practically to your life, or if you want to go for a holistic or a functional medicine consult, you can book an appointment on those branches on those days.
Or
So
if
thank
not, you can do teleconsults. We also do teleconsults on other
Yes, we
days.
do. If you don't want to go out, then there's definitely the teleconsult option. Just message your clinic, and they will give you the details on how to go about that. So yeah, that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us this wellness weekend. We'll see you again soon. Bye.